Alright, I just want to start a new video on making a custom 2-lane track crossing. And as you can see, this is the underneath part. And here's the rails that are going to get cut into the bottom of this track. They're a little longer, but I'm going to have to cut them down. And I'm going to cut this out. This section here will have to be cut out. And then I'll cut them out real nice and flat. I'll get them as close to this rail as I can. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut as close to the rail here as you can, which the bottom will only allow you to get so close, about 1/8 of an inch. Then you scribe a line underneath there, and then match that right up. And then here's another section that I don't think, there's another guy I saw on Worldwide, scxworldwide.com, and he made one, but I don't know how he wires it up. There's some pictures on there how he wired it up, but I don't know if he understands how, because I don't see any wires coming out of his. And you have to have your power, there's a wire in here called your power wire, like this one right here sticking out, and then this one here sticking out, and this one here sticking out. Those are your power wires. Those have to be attached to these together. This one's going to have to be attached to this one, and vice versa. And I'm going to have to do that on this other rail too. So once I cut this section out, I have to run that wire so that that power line runs the full length of the track. It's going to have to be, it's a lot of work, but I'll do it. I'll get it done. And yeah, you have to have that all done. Then on top of that, because this is going to be all cut, I have to run power feeds from the power track itself over to this track, so that this track's going to get power and this track will get power. Even though there's power on the other side, I still want, you know, the guy has a diagram of how the wiring goes, so I'll still follow his wiring diagram, but I did not see anywhere where he pulls these wires out, the power wires out. There's nowhere. And I don't know, I think I got the picture here. I'll show you the picture real quick of the thing so you can see. There's the picture, and if I bring it up real close, I don't see anywhere on there where he has the power line coming out from underneath the track. Anywhere here. There's no power line here. He just cut that rail right off, and then he brings the wires from these pieces here, these little clips underneath, and runs them under here and runs them over there. You know, he's running the wires, it seems like, to the right places, but I don't see where he's running the power line. He wouldn't be able to run none of his accessories if he runs like this. He's just going to run track power. So maybe that's what his point was. So then here's, I think this is the other, no, it's another layout. Here's what the track looks like when it's done. And you can see where he's got some kind of epoxy here. And this is the track right here where my finger is. This track right here is this piece right here. And that's got to be shortened to fit right in the middle there. And then I have to run the power line to that track. Or actually, I really don't have to run the power line to this track. It's got to be ran to this track. All I got to do is match up these power lines. You know, power line from here to there, and then from this side to this side. It don't have to be hooked up to the middle track, because this is just power lines. It's just this jumper has to go over here to run the power line. That's it. It's this stuff here, these black wires that are underneath the rail on the outside of each rail. runs your accessories. If you want accessories on your layout, you have to wire those up. Otherwise, yeah, you could wire it like he did, and you'd be fine. So then now this is the top version of what I'm looking at right here. This is going to go here. This is going to go here. This is going to go here. And then it's going to be all flat. So this is what it's going to look like basically when it's done. And then this will be in the middle, cut out and set in there. And then epoxied in with some really good epoxy that I have, and it's black. Or it's kind of grayish. So once I get that done, I will post in part 2. This is part 1 of probably 3 parts to making this cross track and having it work. Like I said, I've got that diagram, that wiring diagram, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem. It's just a matter of taking the clips off. There's little clips down in here, a little hard to see, but there's some clips down in here in these to hold the track, the top track on. This track is just a little V-groove track, and it just sits in there. Once you loosen these up, there's 3 of them. Once you loosen those up, and then this one here, if you want to take the whole thing out, you have to pop this one. And then this is where your power line goes. Your power line is under here, runs underneath this track, runs under here, and it comes out right there. You can barely see it. It's a little brass wire, and then it just rests up against the power line, which is right there. That brass, let me get a little closer to that. This brass right here that you can barely see, that's your power line. Everything on the outside there, that's your power line, and that's your power line. And then here's your power line over here. Right there. That's the other power line. That's for the other side. So them power lines have to be in there, or you're just not going to be able to run any kind of accessories. Your chronometers won't work. Your lap counters won't work. None of that stuff will work if you don't hook those wires up. And when I get to that part, I will show you another video. So I'm doing this all for the first time myself, so this is all new to me, but I'm trying to follow common sense. And the common sense says you gotta wire up everything in the series, or whatever it's called. It's just, everything's gotta match. If there's a wire somewhere buried, it has to match the wire that was on the other side. And then vice versa. Everything has to be in there. If you really go look at even an analog cross, you'll see there's a ton of wires underneath there, and everything has to match. So this is Track Spike 64 and on YouTube. So if you want to give me a holler on this, get back to me. I am building this, and I don't know when. Someone just told me that SCX Technotoys are making the analog work with digital. How can they? This is digital track with these prongs. These little points on here, that's a digital track. Their analog track does not look like this. It's just a flat pen. It's a flat pin right here. This track, an analog track, there's no comparison to analog and digital track in SCX. SCX, and if that track is totally different. So I don't know what that guy's saying. He's from Australia. I don't know what his name is, but I'm not even sure who makes this. I was looking for the video on YouTube that this guy has. So if anybody knows who this guy is, put it in my notes. Give me a jingle. Let me know. I want to find out, because I know that I'm doing this, and it's just gonna have to work, because I'm just gonna do it. You can't do something if you don't try. Another thing I wanted to point out is you got to be really careful when you're measuring this stuff out, because if you don't measure this out right and plan this, you're going to end up with a piece of garbage when it comes to checking out your measurements. Everybody's got to remember, these tracks are 14 and an eighth. 14 and an eighth long. This track is 14 and an eighth inches long from end to end. I knew I wouldn't get away with doing this without corrupting everything. Just my luck. 14 and an eighth. The tracks are 14 and an eighth long. When you measure this, that track here and here has to come out to 14 and an eighth long. And if it don't, guess what's going to happen? I didn't even go to geometry school, man. I got flunked out of math, period. I didn't go to math. I barely know my multiplications, let alone fractions and division, but I know that if you take calculus, calculus is going to tell you that you have to have this exactly 14 and an eighth long here too, because if you don't, and you're making a complete oval track, a figure eight, your figure eights are not going to blend. They're not going to blend right. So you have to make sure that this is all perpendicular and fits right, which these pieces of track have to be 5 inches. 5 and an eighth. I would say I got it at, my track measures 5 and an eighth. 5 and an eighth, and then you do the math in the middle. 5 and an eighth, 5 and an eighth, and then you're looking at 4. So 5 and an eighth, 5 and an eighth, and 4, or no, 5 and a 16th, and 5 and a 16th, and 4 is what? 14 and an eighth. So that's what it comes out to exactly. And when I epoxy this, sorry for not having the camera right. When I put this all in here, it's all going to come together just perfectly. I'm going to epoxy this all in, and then I'm going to cut out the rest of the pieces. Now, how am I going to do this section so that it don't corrupt the way this track is? Well, I'm taking this whole track out. Each rail, I'm going to pull each rail out completely. And then I'm going to cut the rail, and then I'm going to slide the rail back in. Put the rail right back into place. So I don't disturb, but I'm going to cut all the wiring for the power lines and everything. I'm going to cut all those. And then I'm going to put the tracks back in, cut the little slot for the beads, the braids, and then I'm going to epoxy that all in real nice. I'm going to epoxy all that. This is all going to be epoxied in. Will the cars probably stop? Yeah, they probably might, but you're going to have to go fast. If you want to go through the cross, you're going to have to go through the cross with some speed. Or if you go slow, you're going to die right here. This little section right here, you're going to die. Well, on the switches, if you go really slow on the switches, even these that are supposed to have the brass in here, I'm getting low on my time here. This brass right here is supposed to be a little guide pin, so that a guide blade, so that when you're coming through here, your guide braid is going to hit here, and then that metal on the side of your guide braid is going to take this and then run your car. But it don't work. It still don't work. When your car's coming through here, it's not as good a connection as you would have thought. So you're still going to putt out right here. So you have to go through your switches fast. You can't just putt through these tracks. This is called a race track, not a putt-putt track. You can't putt-putt around this thing. This is called racing. Racing means fast. So like I said, I will post another one and let you know some more information on this. Anybody wants to know more, I want to hear. So I'm done blabbling, babbling, or whatever you want to call it, but I think I'm excited. This is awesome. I know this is going to work, and it's going to be a lot of fun, because I know I can do a lot more track variations than I have, and that's what I love about racing. Track variations. Make a different track. Make a different track. Run a different track. What else can you do? I'll make 2 or 3 of these things when I get this done. If this works, which I'm sure it will, I'm going to make 2 or 3 of them and have them all over the place. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun. Alright, take care. And I just ordered a bunch of track anyways, so later. Over and out. Track Spike 64. Be back in a little while. Bye.